17, I was desperately plotting my escape from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. At the time, I was in this teen theater company that would meet Saturdays at the Ansonia Hotel on Broadway and West 74th Street, where I would peruse the bulletin boards for jobs. One Saturday, a flyer caught my eye. Playwright looking for actress to act out scenes, $10 an hour. I thought, oh my God, this is perfect for me. $10 an hour is a lot of money. 1978, $10 was a lot of money. I called the number, and this guy tells me he would rent a rehearsal space at the Ansonia, and I'm thinking, well, this has to be legit because only professionals rehearse at the Ansonia Hotel. Within 20 minutes, this tiny little nebbishy guy shows up carrying a massive script bigger than he is. He does try to book a space at the Ansonia, but none are available, so he suggests going back to his place if I'm comfortable with that. All I'm thinking is $10 an hour times 4 is $40 more I can bank for my escape. Without fear, I get in the cab with the guy, and I wonder if my pay starts in the cab. He starts telling me about the script. It's a future Broadway mega hit that big-time producers are waiting for him to finish. It takes place way in the future on another planet where the men ruled the world for eons, and the women were slaves and tortured. But the women revolt, take over the world, and enslave the men. From then on, the men are drugged and forced to be inanimate objects like footstools, tables, and area rugs. He said he needed someone to help him act out the scenes from his play because the actors would have to contort their bodies to mimic a throne, desk, or lounge chair, for example, for 2.5 hours straight, and he wasn't sure if that was possible for an actor to sustain. At the time, this all sounded completely fascinating and believable to me. And who cared anyway? It was $10 an hour. The most I ever made in my life was $5 an hour babysitting. He explained he would pretend to be whatever object for several hours, and I would be queen, ruler of the planet. If I was good and he felt like he could work with me again, he would be a different object each time. And this would help him finish the play, which a ton of important people were waiting on. It sounded good to me. So we arrive at this sleazebag hotel in the East 40s and climb 4 flights of narrow stairs up to his teeny room with his teeny twin bed. Yes. Yes. Kind of creepy. All right. Sort of weird. But hey, it's $10 an hour. $10 an hour. And if he tried anything, I had like 4 inches and 20 pounds on the guy. He said I'd probably be really bored while improvising the first scene, so if I wanted to do my homework or watch TV, that would be okay. So I sit on his bed, and he turns on this portable black and white TV. The Odd Couple was on. He said that during the first improv, he would lay flat on the floor and be an area rug. And I would be the queen who had drugged and enslaved him. He wanted my feet to rest flat on his face. And he was going to lie very, very still, deathly afraid that if he moves, I will punish him. But that eventually he will move. And when he does, I should kick him in the head and firmly drag it back into position. Now, mind you, I'm wearing a thick winter parka with big, heavy combat boots. And he tells me it's totally fine if I leave them on, which I do. I say to this guy, I can't kick you in the head. I'm wearing heavy boots. It's going to hurt. He says, just kick me lightly. Okay, let's begin. So he lays on the floor and tells me to rest my boots on his face. And of course, I'm thinking, this guy's a little nuts, but the pay's pretty good. So I'm sitting on the edge of his bed, reading a backstage and simultaneously watching The Odd Couple. He's lying flat on the floor with my big boots on his face. He's not moving, barely breathing. An hour goes by. He doesn't move a muscle. I'm doing my homework and Star Trek is on. I'm thinking, yes, I already made $10. 15 if he counts the time in the cab. Then all of a sudden, he moves his head like barely 1/100th of an inch. I'm shocked. I don't know what to do. I certainly don't want to kick him in the head. I'm paralyzed. He moves his head again. I'm frozen. After the third time, he pops up and says, "Why aren't you kicking me in the head?" "I don't want to hurt you." He says, "Terry, you're the queen of planet Gliptor. Hurt me." So he plops back down, my boots go back up on his face, and he's frozen right through Star Trek. Then his head starts to move a little. So I get my nerve up, and I give him a good kick in the head. And drag it firmly back into place. This goes on for at least 3 hours. By now, I'm watching Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda, Love Boat. Kicking him in the head and dragging it back into place becomes second nature. Piece of cake. hour, he bolts up, all happy with himself, and says, "Wow, that was fantastic. You're amazing." He grabs his massive script and tells me he has a lot of writing to do and pays me $40 cash. All I'm thinking is, damn, he didn't include the time in the cab. He asked me if we could meet up again, and next time he would like to be a throne. Have me tie him up and sit on him for a few hours as the queen. He also asked if I could bring a friend along so that way he could watch us sit on each other and tie each other up. This would free him up to observe, take notes, and maybe a few Polaroids for his files. And I swear to God, at the time, it all made perfect sense. I told him I was on it, and I'd call him the next day to work out a schedule. The minute I was on the street, I ran to a payphone to call my best friend, Kara Siegel. I told her about my great new job and how there was a spot for her too. When I got back home and told my mother all about my fantastic new employer, she started screaming. "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" I calmly told her I would be more than happy to quit if she gave me $600 towards my California pilgrimage. $640. Not a bad day's work for a 17-year-old. It's now 10 years later. I'm 27 years old and still in New York. In my crappy East Village apartment, checking out the Village Voice classifieds for a job that doesn't entail too much work and probably doesn't exist. An ad catches my eye. Novelist looking for personal assistant to accompany him to Spain, all expenses paid. Well, I, of course, immediately pick up the phone and dial this novelist's phone number. This guy answers, and his voice sounds vaguely familiar. Yes, I'm available to go to Spain. I can type, too. He says, excellent, let's meet. He's going to Spain to do research for his novel that's going to be a big bestseller, and his publisher's waiting for him to finish, but he needs an assistant to accompany him to Spain to help. So I ask him, what's this novel about? And he proceeds to tell me it takes place way in the future, on another planet. The women are enslaved but revolt and take over the world. They enslave the men who are forced to be inanimate objects, like footstools, tables, and area rugs. So it hits me. I say to the guy, you're still writing the same thing from 10 years ago? He's like, what do you mean? I say, I'm the little girl that spent 4 hours kicking you in the head in your sleazy room this how you get your kicks? Total weirdo. I think he was in shock because he didn't say anything, but he also didn't hang up the phone. I guess he couldn't believe it was me from 10 years ago, because seriously, who would answer an ad like that more than once? I spent about 5 more minutes berating him, and he must have been enjoying it at least half as much as I was, because he still didn't hang up the phone. After a few minutes, he says, "Well, I now pay $20 an hour." So I said, 20? My bags are packed. When do we leave?